What is the future of human resources? Our next guest wrote the following. Let's take a look at the quote from her here. To lead the workforce, the role of human resources has to evolve from a traditional functionality to include being experts in technology, understanding futuristic trends, human behavior, and productivity. So joining us right now live from Cape Town or Johannesburg is Vumile Msweli, award-winning career coach and chief executive officer of Hesed Consulting. Vumile, thank you so much for joining us. Good afternoon to you. So how would knowledge of technology and futuristic trends aid the evolution of the human resources role?
I think it's becoming, good morning, first of all. I think it's becoming a key way of actually doing business. We've seen fundamental trends shifting in how we recruit. So the days of please send me your CVs are starting to really minimize. So even in recruiting in the HR space, we're seeing a technology companies such as LinkedIn becoming critical with so much as over 80% of the past year of recruitment happening on LinkedIn in South Africa. And that's even exceeded to 90% in America. And we're seeing the same trends start to take place across the African continent. So technology and human capital is starting to become very much intertwined.
Excellent stuff. Now, can human resources workers currently executing traditional functionality make the transition into becoming technology experts and understanding futuristic trends?
I think they don't have a choice but to do that. In essence, we're seeing talent management, talent growth, talent recruitment. Some of those roles are starting to become redundant. As more and more technology takes over, we're seeing with the likes of a massive diminishment of talent recruitment as AI starts to take over. So even in applying for a job currently, it's not always necessarily going to be another human initially doing the sifting of those CVs. So we're starting to see that in essence, as a technology expert and a human resources person, you're starting to have to merge the role in essence. And it's also going to shift because the kind of skills and talent that we're looking for is no longer going to be as archaic. So that is happening across the board and undoubtedly has to start transitioning into the human capital space.
Great stuff. I want to ask you about, as far as futuristic trends are concerned, is the work-life balance under threat from tech? Instant messaging apps, video conferencing, meaning we can work from home. So is that erasing the barriers between work and home?
Definitely. The facade of work-life balance is quickly diminishing. What we're seeing instead is work-life integration, where people are starting to really collaborate with their employers in order to start working. So what's shifting there is we see even legislation come out, like has recently come out from Spain, where it is now illegal for you to be sending emails, for you to be reaching out to your employees when it's no longer working hours. So that's shifting where some countries are starting to become very, very firm, but in other countries it's become the norm, where in essence you can expect an email from your boss or from a client at midnight and really there is no balance. And I think this is exacerbated by us actually working from home now due to the coronavirus.
Thank you for that. You mentioned email. I've been wanting to ask this. On the subject of messaging apps, WhatsApp, for instance, allows people to share documents, enables instant communication, has a group function, as do other IM apps. Is that a likely replacement for email?
Definitely. I think it is a likely replacement. The only challenge is obviously the security element of it. We also, what was happening with WhatsApp, trying to really bump up their security. But in a conversational, lighthearted, none really private information and data being shared, a number of organizations are comfortable using WhatsApp. But the moment you've got confidential data, high intellectual property, WhatsApp is no longer a safe environment. But I do see, and we are seeing trends of in the future, the same security we currently have on email transitioning into the app space. So I think it's just a matter of time before that starts to happen. We are seeing a number of organizations using their own private form of WhatsApp and instant messaging, which is just in the intranet and just specifically for the organization, which we actually anticipate moving across. A lot of futurists are predicting that Telegram, which is perceived to be a little bit more secure than WhatsApp, will probably take over in that particular format. But I guess we all wait with bated breath and look to San Francisco to see what it is that they're going to create that will be a little bit more secure for us.
Exciting stuff, quite exciting. So what about meetings? From an HR perspective, there's also the need for instant, widespread communication with staff. We've got video conferencing, which was what we're using to communicate now. But can that, even be replaced by messaging groups where important information is disseminated quickly?
I think so. We're already starting to see initially there was a high spike when people started working from home and having to have virtual conferences and video conferencing like we're currently on, as you mentioned. But we're actually starting to see that start to drop, where people are actually using instant messaging to quickly resolve issues. So I'm re-anticipating that meetings should start dropping. They will still be utilized a lot more, predominantly for business development. But in the HR space, in the managing space, we're anticipating that the communication is going to start to be a little bit more staccato, a little bit more shortened, a little bit more succinct, and leveraging, in essence, technology more as opposed to having that human contact of face-to-face as AI takes over.
Okay, so does that then mean that we're moving towards less human contact, if as that evolution moves forward?
Definitely. I anticipate that we will have less human contact. I think the days of us wanting, we still desire it. I think we can see with what's happening in the UK, the moment they lifted up some of those restrictions, people were out and interacting again. In South Africa, we're starting to see some organizations open up their offices and people start to interact. But I think in the long term, we'll have substantially less human contact than we did prior to COVID. I think the days of us going into the office and seeing people face to face are long gone. I'm of the opinion that in essence, we are going to start to work a lot more leveraging technology, transitioning from pure email to a pseudo kind of human contact where you are engaging with people, but it won't necessarily be face to face and it won't necessarily be with video screens on.
And just taking that further, as far as remote work being a destination, I guess, do you see that happening, and is that spread across all industries?
Yes. So what we're seeing in essence is both remote work and what we call the gig economy, in essence, where people are no longer going to be full-time employees for an organization, but in essence, what they're going to be is contractors coming in for a particular project, a particular gig, and then you moving those expertise elsewhere. And that's also driven a lot by the access to global experts. So the case of, I am based in Kenya, I'm based in Nairobi, and all my projects are going to be based there is no longer going to be happening. It's going to be a case of, in essence, I can work with people based in Australia, I can work with people in Accra, people sitting in Abuja. So that's where we're going to start seeing that fundamental shift. So even in how we engage from a human resources perspective, the talent that we acquired in order to execute on our businesses is going to be a lot more global, and to be able to do that, it is going to be leveraging technology.
I have to ask you this, does that mean we will see less instances of workplace harassment as far as those ugly incidents are concerned? Was that, I guess with everyone working remotely, do you think that reduces that likelihood?
I think the impact of it will be reduced, but the psychological feeling will still be there. Of course, it's still possible. We've learned with online bullying that it can still occur. But in essence, I think cases of sexual harassment will decrease. I do think that, however, that psychological harassment will increase, because now it's a case of you no longer shouting and screaming at me across the office, but the tone of your email, which is a little bit more nuanced, is in essence what I will then be engaging with. Why also this will decrease is the ability to record and gather the evidence, the body of evidence of this is going to increase, because it's a lot different to having to sneakily record someone to prove your case, as opposed to say, well, the conversations are recorded. Let's pull something from Microsoft Teams or Zoom as evidence of the fact that this is how, in essence, you speak to me. So I think that's going to drive a reduction. But in another element, I think there'll be an increase in digital bullying.
Thank you for that. We'll have less than a minute to go. So briefly, do you have any concerns at all about a full embrace between human resources and technology?
No, I think what's becoming very, very critical to, colleagues in the human resources space is how do you start leveraging AI before it makes you redundant? We've seen, we can learn a lot from the technological space where with Internet of Things, how some organizations have already started pivoting in order to prepare and preempt what's going to be happening in their space. I think in the human capital space, just because we're working with humans, we cannot take it for granted that technology will not impact us. So it's really about hitting up that curve, seeing the technology we can leverage while still keeping the human element there, because in essence, that's what's required from a human capital arena.
Vumile Msweli, award-winning career coach, also the CEO of Hesed Consulting. Thank you so much for talking to us about human resources and technology. Appreciate it.